So it's 6:02, I think, so I'll call the meeting to order. Could you please take roll?
No.
Okay. Reverend Freeman,
Present.
Commissioner Salon,
Here.
Chairperson Heinz Silvis,
I'm here.
Commissioner Diana,
Here.
Commissioner Brown, and Commissioner Moreland.
We have a quorum.
So we have a quorum, thank you. The first item on our agenda are to review and approve the minutes from our March 26th meeting, and that document was included in the materials that we saw on the website. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Thank you. And a second? Thank you. Any discussion or corrections to the minutes of March 26th? Hearing none. All in favor of approving the minutes for March 26th as written, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Excuse me. The minutes are approved. Second on our agenda are any additions to the agenda? No additions to the agenda? Then we have public input. Is there any public input? Okay, so now we're on the presentations, including the staff report.
We have a very brief staff report. The first 3 weeks of April, Alyssa and I were in various head trainings and conferences. So trying to get our feet on the ground and understand, what our roles are and what's changed since the last time I was involved with CDBG and Home. And then we're finalizing the Consolidated Social Service Funding grants, which I'll have Alyssa give an update on that, and then finalizing the annual action plan. Thankfully, it was delayed a little bit because we did get our final allocation late last week, so. Yeah. We had the neighborhood cleanup on Saturday for all the neighborhoods and the census tracts, and had a large turnout. I think they said they got 14 20-yard dumpsters of stuff, and they had over 70 seniors request assistance. So, yeah, that was a nice turnout. Yep, so that's it for staff report.
Any comments or questions on the staff report? Thank you. Is there any old business? No old business. So now we are down to the action item, and the action item that we have before us is the resolution approving the City of Urbana and Urbana Home Consortium, the fiscal year 2019-2020 annual action plan. And we have that in our packet, too.
And I gave you updated, finalized budgets with a brief summary of our proposed budget. It didn't change much from the draft. It's just the real numbers, and we adjusted them based on the allocation. So CDBG, we were fortunate. We got an 8% increase this year, and that will be helpful. We are planning on using the 20% for administrative cost. We have 2 transitional housing units and may have a third soon that we're using for housing programs. Most of the time it's women with children that are in the housing units. We put in the neighborhood cleanup again because it was just such a popular item, but we may start going to like a centralized service area. So maybe we'll do one service area in the spring and another service area in the fall. And then combine that with other city programs so that the neighborhoods really feel that impact from the city. Consolidated Social Service Funding, we set aside $5,000, and that's just consistent with what we've done in the past. We have a couple of capital improvement projects that are hoping to go forward this year, street lights along parts of University Avenue and parts of Kinch Street. Along with, we're going to start doing code enforcement and blight reduction, again in those targeted neighborhoods to have more of that impact feeling, presence, yep. And then finally, our emergency repair, senior repair programs, they have been successful. There's still a demand and a need for them, so we'll continue doing those as well. So that's our final there. Our home allocation, unfortunately, took a 12% hit, so, and that is just, it's by Congress, year after year, you're just not quite sure what you're going to get. We set aside 15% for our community housing development organizations, which right now Habitat is the only one that we have, but we are working and doing outreach, trying to get others, as I think the city's been doing for a few years. And then the split, the city of Champaign gets $278,000, the county gets $87,000, and Urbana gets $149,000. Champaign is looking to use theirs for tenant-based rental assistance, as well as give Habitat some money. The county will use theirs for tenant-based rental assistance, and Urbana is been talking to a couple of developers, so that we're hoping we can invest in some more affordable housing, as we've done in the past. So that's kind of a quick overview of the budget. Do we have any questions? Chris looks puzzled.
Yeah. Question, just trying to follow on the numbers here.
Sure.
At the, what is it, page 4 here,
Mm-hmm.
top of that page, we've got the consortium split,
Mm-hmm.
which is 625, 626, 65.
Mm-hmm.
Are the city of Champaign, the county, and Urbana, those are supposed to total to that?
Yes, do they not?
No.
Okay. Thank you. See, I got to take this to council, so I'll fix that.
Yeah,
How far off are we?
they come up to 514, 952, so we're off by 150.
Well, that's, yeah, I'll fix that. When you take the allocation and subtract out the administrative cost, the Chodo and the Chodo reserve, or the Chodo operating, and that balance is what you split. And so, and those percentages, the 54%, 17%, and 29%, those are governed by HUD, and it's based on population.
Right.
So I will correct that, yeah.
I just rerun those numbers. The other thought you might have is for ease of council reading it, these aren't all formatted the same. So some of them are not showing a decimal point or anything beyond, some are showing
Oh,
one decimal point,
yep.
some are showing two. I didn't format them all the same.
Yep.
It's easier to read.
Now yes, okay. I'll fix that. Thank you very much, Chris.
It's a sidebar question.
Mm-hmm.
Are you working with Champaign County Housing Authority with their transitional houses that they have? Is this part of this piece that's here?
No, this one isn't. We do partner with the Housing Authority in a lot of different ways.
Okay.
So we support their new project that's going to be going on, or being built this summer on Colorado, their
Yes.
permanent supportive housing project. We've done their environmental review on that, and then we were a partner on the grant application. We've also partnered with them on other affordable housing, like they're looking at doing one on Learman Avenue.
exactly
Right, and we will partner with them on that one. But they have some single-unit transitional housing units that they're getting rid of, and we are not a partner on that. They're looking to kind of develop some new, younger, I guess, inexperienced people in town, like first followers, and they're going to kind of mentor them with those units to get them to where their program is up and running pretty strong. So, which is fabulous. I'm glad they've got the ability and the staffing to do that, as well as, decent units.
I know they were talking about drawing in their transitional housing, they manage it themselves
Yep.
and not. And I was making sure that we didn't get lost in the loop in the process.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, the bigger projects that they do, like Crystal View, Highland, those we stay a partner of, but their scattered site, single-family homes we're not.
Okay.
So Sheila, you mentioned the Learman Street area. What's the plan for,
Um,
is there a plan yet for redevelopment there?
Not quite yet. The Aspen Court that is behind it, they have a tax credit project going right now. And so when the developer was putting together their financing package, because they're so close location geographically, they couldn't apply. So they really need the tax credits to move forward, and so that project has to get closer to completion before they can apply. So we're hoping they do this fall, because that project will be moving forward with being completed, and then we can see something starting in the spring. Yeah, I mean, we'll see what happens with financing, you know. It's all a numbers game, as Chris just showed me.
Okay, so the budget that you just handed out, and we went through that, do you want to spend any time talking about any of the other, I guess, what's that other? I guess that is the summary, right? Okay.
Yeah, and we passed out the draft annual action plan in March.
Yeah,
And
right.
then the only changes were these budgeted ones, so that's
Okay.
why I just gave
Yes.
you that piece.
Okay, right,
Yeah.
okay. So do we need to take action on this?
I think it's because it's new fiscal
Mhm.
management.
Okay.
So I so move pending the adjustments.
Okay, and a second? Okay. So we have a motion and a second to approve the proposed budget and summary with the changes that we've identified. Any discussion? Any further discussion? Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. So that motion passes. Thank you. So is there anything else to bring before the commission?
Alyssa, did you want to give an update on the consolidated social service funding?
Yeah, we had
Okay.
36 agencies apply, and they were requesting money for about 45 programs, which totaled $820,000. But we are proposing to fund 17 agencies and 18 programs. And we will take that to council starting on the 13th.
We wanted to give council at least 2 study sessions to look at it and have a month to review it, and then they'll give us their final recommendations at the June 1st meeting so that we can get contracts signed and everybody be set to start July 1st. Last year with the staffing turnovers here, a lot of it didn't get finalized till October, and if you're using that money to leverage other grants, it makes it kind of hard. So we really wanted to be sensitive to giving council time to review, but yet the agency's time to use that money as well.
Will we get a summary of who those agencies are, or you wait till council?
Sure, we can send you, when we send it to council, we can send you copies of what it is, yeah. Yeah, we really had quite the process this year, and I'll let Alyssa speak to how we did it.
Yeah.
Oh,
Do you want me to go now?
Yes.
Okay, yeah. So we worked with staff at the township, and we worked with Mary Alice Wu, who is on city council. And we basically all went through, reviewed them on our own, which took a very long time. And we had a scoring or evaluation criteria. So we looked at all the applications with that criteria. And then we kind of just went through and had conversations. We looked at, did they turn in everything? Can they support?
Timely and all that
Yep.
kind
Can
of
they
stuff.
support this program with and without our money? How are they going to increase service to Urbana residents? And then what gaps are they filling that our community needs right now?
Did we look at, did you have an opportunity to look at sustainability?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, because some organizations wanted all of their program funding to come from us, and we didn't fund any of those.
That's a dead end.
Yep, yep. So we'll share with you what we send to council. We'll just send it electronically, if you'd like.
Please.
So are you required to have community input on the selection of those, or is that just a recommendation to council?
Council makes the final determination, and so we are making the recommendations
Okay.
as this committee, and then they'll review them and make the determination from there. Have they come to you guys in the past?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah. Typically, they use this body as like the community advisory, and so
Okay.
I thought at one point, for some reason, I thought that was required, that there
I-
would be community comment on the selection.
Right. I don't know about that. I ask, just because as we're learning the process too, and I was told that we didn't bring it to you guys. So, but I absolutely don't mind sharing it or sharing our observations, and I think maybe next year having one of you on the review committee might be a good idea too, so that you, like we have Mary Alice Wu from council, so that, you know, you understand the process that we go through. But, yeah, I will make note of that to make sure that we get it at the April meeting,
Yeah.
so that we can still get it to council in May and meet those deadlines. So,
I think in the past, why that was always done is because along the lines of what you're saying about does it fit the goals and so forth, that's kind of the obligation of the commission.
right.
So, as you mentioned, if this is going to council as a recommendation of this commission, it really can't do that if the commission hasn't reviewed it.
Right, and the way that we worded it, you guys gave us your priorities in January,
Right.
and so the agency that we will fund will come back to you for approval and make sure that it met the guidelines that you guys said, because our contribution to this $225,000 pot is $5,000. So it's a very small piece,
Right.
but it's still a very important piece, because you guys wanted us to focus on job training programs was one of the things you mentioned, and that's one of the agencies that we would recommend funding with this pot of money. So, again, I apologize, learning the process here, but we'll make sure, to talk about that early in the year, and then decide if you want to see them, or if you want to just have a representative with us, and then you can talk about it.
It used to be somewhat of a long process.
It can
We
be.
had a lot of long nights of listening to that. I think if there was a benefit to the organizations who were applying, they got a broader set of input for those that especially didn't meet the criteria or really weren't fitting as to what they might do to change things and come back next year with
Okay.
other ideas and suggestions. So
Okay.
I think, I don't want to speak for the rest of the commission members, but I don't think any of us would mind spending those hours listening to them. But
Okay.
that's
Yeah.
fine. We'd be happy to
Yeah.
participate too. So.
Yeah.
Sure. And maybe both, we'll see how it
Yeah.
plays out, because who knows? Next year's a new year.
There's a lot to review when you get that many. Like
Yes, there is, and we probably spent 60, 70 hours of staff time, just going through and looking at them, because you want to be objective and fair, but yet, the city council had goals, the CD commission had goals, and then the township has goals, and trying to balance who's serving Urbana to meet those goals, because that was another criteria. We really wanted to focus on those agencies that were going to increase the services to Urbana residents. There's a lot of agencies in town that do really good work, and thankfully, none of us look at Wright Street as that division line, but if we're spending Urbana tax dollars, we really wanted to see that increase, and how could we do that? Or meet an unmet need that neither the city or the township was able to do.
And I do appreciate the timeliness of it, because in the past, it seems as if we've been scrambling to get that all done, and then, as you said, you kind of run out of time to use it as leverage for any other grant. So
Right.
you did gain that, which I think is really important.
Right. Yeah, and we would want to make sure, and maybe we can talk about this in August or so, maybe do a calendar of meetings and topics that we'll discuss, because that might also help with having a quorum and attendance, make sure that we have people that we need to have
Yeah.
involved in the process.
We can do a little planning then if we know
Sure,
ahead of time.
sure.
Right.
Just to emphasize the importance of that is, this past week, I had 3 people who contacted me on social media, because they're reviewing all of the minutes and looking at all of the tapes, and so people are actually reading and listening and noting. So
That's
the fact that the more transparency we can have up front, the better off we are, and people are aware of it. So thank you so much.
Yeah, and that was something really important to us as we started this process this year, was we really wanted it to be a fair and open process. I think in the past, you know, once applications came in, there were phone calls made for clarification on things, and I don't think that's always fair, because if I called you but I didn't call you, then, you know.
Give an advantage.
Yeah,
That's
exactly.
exactly right.
And so instead, we opened it up, required people to attend the meetings, and then we had 5 weeks of private technical assistance. So they could either come to the city or the township and, you know, get their grant application reviewed, get any questions answered, so that when they did submit it, they hopefully had a complete, thorough application, and they thought out what their needs are and where we could best fit. So,
Good process. So are there any more items for us to consider, or comments, or questions, or?
I do have one comment, and I will share the resume. We had a new CD commissioner appointed by the mayor last night. So she comes from the University of Illinois, and that's about all I know. But I can send you the information that was given to me, and hopefully she'll be at our June meeting. Yep.
Okay.
And at the June meeting, we'll have the a Choto application to review.
Okay,
So.
great.
When exactly is the June meeting?
On the calendar, I think.
It's on my,
25th?
so typically it's the fourth
Right.
Tuesday of the month,
Yeah.
unless there's a holiday or
Right.
some reason to change it.
And I put the calendars out. Oh, the next meeting for us is the May 29th. It is, because we were supposed to
Right.
have, this is a makeup meeting. That's right. So it's going to be June 28th upstairs in the executive council room, or executive conference room, at 6.
You mean May 28th?
May 28th.
Okay.
Yeah, and then June 25th. And right after that May meeting, we'll have the discussion on the consolidated social service
Okay,
with city council.
okay. The reminders you guys send are helpful. That's really helpful.
And we'll have our new person there. I would like somebody, just because I don't have the history that you guys do, so I'd like one or two of you to meet with the new person before we have her come to the meeting in May, just to kind of give her a history and update, and, you know, I can tell her what I think I know, but as you can see, I don't know. So if
I'm a newbie.
okay, but if Ann or Chris would want to attend, or both, that's fine. We can meet for coffee or
Okay.
whatever works for her.
Okay,
That'd be great.
Just as a question, not to be a spoilsport, I have no problem meeting with her, but if 2 or 3 of us meet with her, is that in
That's
violation
right,
of
it's
the
Open
Open
Meetings
Meetings
Act.
Ah, jeez, okay. So I don't count. You two
you
would.
don't count.
Yeah, so just
So
one of you needs to.
One of us and one of you.
Yeah, yeah.
Yes.
Yep.
So we'll just see how it goes with the schedule.
All right, I'll send dates and whichever fits into your
Okay.
calendar.
Okay,
Okay.
thank you.
Mhm.
Happy to do that.
We don't want to all be locked up together. Just a bad image.
Any other items for the commission's consideration this evening? Seeing none, then I call the meeting adjourned. Thank you.